The massive antenna array on Europa's monitoring station hummed steadily against the black void of space. Frost formed along the outer edges of the viewport where Chief Engineer Alex Morgan stood gazing at Jupiter's swirling storms. The gas giant dominated the view, its presence both comforting and intimidating even after his 5 years stationed at this remote outpost. "Alex, you need to see this." Station Commander Olivia Wright's voice broke his momentary trance. Her tone carried an urgency that immediately set him on edge. Alex pushed away from the viewport and made his way to the monitoring station where Olivia hunched over a display screen. Her dark eyes were fixed on anomalous readings flashing across the monitor. "What am I looking at?" he asked, leaning closer. "Energy signatures beyond Pluto. Nothing we've seen before." Olivia pointed to the fluctuating patterns. "These appeared 3 hours ago and have been growing stronger." Alex adjusted his glasses. "Natural phenomenon?" "Not according to any known models." She swiped through additional data. The energy patterns show clear modulation, almost like a signal. Alex finished her thought. Their eyes met, both understanding the implications. The station's AI assistant chimed in. "New data incoming. Signal strength increased by 27%. Olivia straightened. "Should we report this to Earth Command?" Alex hesitated. False. Alarms had damaged careers before. Yet something about these readings felt different. "Let's gather more data first. If this is what we think it might be." He didn't need to complete the sentence. Humanity had been searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence for centuries. Being the ones to confirm first contact would make history, or make them laughingstocks if proven wrong. The communication panel suddenly lit up with an incoming transmission. Both startled, they stared at the blinking light. "That's impossible," Alex whispered. "Nobody should be contacting us directly except for scheduled reports." Olivia's hand hovered over the receiver. "Maybe Earth Command detected the anomaly too." With a deep breath, she accepted the transmission. The screen filled with static before resolving into patterns unlike anything they'd seen before. Geometric, shapes pulsed and shifted in sequences that seemed almost mathematical. "Is this?" Alex began. The station's AI interrupted. "Translation protocols attempting to analyze. Pattern suggests language structure, non-human origin." Alex felt his heart pounding. "Record everything." For 12 minutes they watched in silence as the message repeated. Then, the AI spoke again. "Preliminary analysis complete. Message contains distress elements consistent across multiple known communication systems." "A distress signal," Olivia said quietly. "They're asking for help." Alex moved to the station's long-range scanners. "If I adjust these to focus on the signal's origin." The screen filled with blurry images that slowly sharpened. Clustered against the blackness of space were hundreds of massive structures, ships of some kind, adrift beyond the edge of their solar system. "My God," Olivia breathed. "It's an Armada." Further analysis revealed critical power fluctuations throughout the alien fleet. Whatever these vessels were, they were failing. Within the hour, they had sent all data to Earth. 6 hours later, the United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. By the following day, veteran Deep Space Commander John Rivera was assembling a rescue team while politicians argued over protocols and first contact procedures. As Alex packed his equipment, having been selected for the mission team, Olivia handed him a data pad. "The translators have made progress," she said. "They're called the Zarkith. Their main systems are failing and they have no way to repair them. They have over 2 million souls aboard those ships, Alex." He looked at the images again, feeling the weight of what humanity was about to undertake. "Well," he said with a nervous smile, "I guess we're about to make history." The USS Horizon cut through the darkness of space with purpose, its massive fusion engines glowing blue against the void. Inside the ship's conference room, Captain Frank Miller studied the holographic display of the alien Armada. 2 million lives, he said quietly. "And they're all depending on us now." Dr. Lisa Chen nodded as she organized her notes on xenobiology. With only fragments of data about the Zarkith physiology, She had spent the journey developing first contact protocols, based largely on educated guesses. "We know they breathe an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere," she explained. "Their message patterns suggest they communicate using sound waves similar to our speech. Beyond that," she shrugged, "we'll learn as we go." The ship's diplomatic officer cleared his throat. "Earth Command expects regular updates. The Security Council is split on this mission." Captain Miller frowned. "Let me worry about politics. Our job is to save lives." The meeting was interrupted when Navigation Officer Ben Lewis entered the room. "Captain, we've reached the coordinates. You might want to see this." The crew made their way to the bridge where the main view screen displayed what awaited them. Everyone fell silent. The Zarkith Armada stretched before them, hundreds of massive ships clustered together in a defensive formation. The vessels were unlike anything humans had built, with spiraling structures and pulsing light patterns running along their hulls. Several appeared dark and lifeless, while others flickered with intermittent power. "My God," whispered Miller. "Their flagship alone must be 5 kilometers long." Communications Officer Grace Harper turned from her station. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." "On screen," Miller ordered, straightening his uniform. The view screen shifted to show a being that resembled a tall, slender humanoid with iridescent scaled skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Behind it stood several other aliens, of similar appearance, though with varied skin colors ranging from deep blue to purple. "I am Admiral Vexnar of the Zarkith Exodus Fleet," the alien spoke, its voice translated through the ship's computer with a metallic undertone. "You have responded to our distress call. We did not expect the inhabitants of this system to possess space travel capability." Captain Miller stepped forward. "I'm Captain Frank Miller of the United Earth vessel Horizon. We've come to offer assistance." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Our scans indicate your technology is primitive compared to galactic standards. How do you propose to help us?" Miller glanced at Chief Engineer Patricia Daniels, who nodded confidently. "Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions others miss," Miller replied. "We request permission to send a team to assess your situation." After a long pause, Admiral Vexnar agreed. "You may send 5 representatives. No weapons." Within the hour, the away team was preparing in the shuttle bay. Dr. Chen adjusted her translation device while Patricia checked her engineering kit. "Ready to make history?" Patricia asked with a nervous smile. The shuttle journey to the Zarkith flagship revealed the true scale of their crisis. Up close, the alien vessels showed signs of battle damage and emergency repairs. When they docked, the team was met by a delegation of Zarkith officials. The alien environment was slightly warmer than Earth standard, with gravity about 80% of what they were accustomed to. The corridors curved in unusual patterns, designed for beings with different proportions. Admiral Vexnar led them to a command center filled with failing equipment. "Our main propulsion systems are degrading. Life support is operating at minimal capacity. We fled our homeworld when the Vrax Dominion attacked. Our journey has taken 3 of your years." Patricia studied the alien technology with wide eyes. "This is far beyond our engineering capabilities," she whispered to Captain Miller. "Yet here we are," he replied quietly. "Their only hope." As the Admiral continued explaining their dire situation, the humans realized they faced an almost impossible task, but humanity's greatest strength had always been solving the unsolvable. The engineering bay of the Zarkith flagship resembled a cathedral of technology. Patricia Daniels stared at the alien propulsion system, a complex array of crystalline structures and flowing liquid metal. Her human engineering team looked equally overwhelmed. "This technology is centuries beyond ours," she muttered, scanning the failing components with her handheld diagnostic tool. "Their power core uses principles of physics we barely understand." The Zarkith chief engineer, a tall figure named Krelvik, made a sound like chimes in the wind, their equivalent of derisive laughter. "Your species still uses combustion technology," Krelvik said through the translator. "How can you possibly help us repair quantum fold engines?" Patricia took a deep breath. "We may not understand your technology, but we understand universal engineering principles. Show me how these systems are supposed to function." For 3 hours, The human engineers observed the Zarkith technicians explain their propulsion systems. Sam Wilson, a fusion specialist from Earth's Mars colony, noticed something interesting about the power distribution nodes. The failure isn't in the advanced components, Sam said suddenly. It's in the power regulation. Look at these fluctuation patterns. Krelvik dismissed his observation with a wave of his four-fingered hand. Impossible. The regulators are self-maintaining. Patricia intervened. Sam, explain what you're seeing. Their power system works like our fusion reactors, just vastly more efficient, Sam said, pointing to a display. But these connection points are overloading because something is drawing unexpected power. The system can't compensate. The Zarkith engineers chittered among themselves, clearly reluctant to consider human advice. Admiral Vexnar entered the bay, ending their debate. Time grows short, the Admiral stated. Life support on 3 more ships failed during your discussions. Can you help or not? Patricia stepped forward. We need to examine the exterior connection points where your main power conduits meet the engine housing. That area is exposed to space, Krelvik objected, and highly radioactive by your standards. Then we'll need spacesuits, Patricia replied, firmly. An hour later, Patricia and Sam floated outside the massive alien vessel. Their Earth-made spacesuits looked primitive next to the Zarkith escort's sleek exoskeleton, but they served their purpose. There, Sam pointed to a junction where purple energy pulsed erratically. That's our problem. Patricia moved closer, her suit's sensors warning of radiation levels. The housing is degraded. Micrometeorite impacts, maybe? Sam nodded. They've been traveling for years without maintenance. These junctions were never designed for that kind of sustained operation. When they returned inside and explained their findings, Krelvik dismissed their assessment. Impossible. Those housings are made of materials that cannot degrade. Nothing is indestructible, Patricia argued, especially against the void of space over long periods. Admiral Vexnar intervened as the debate grew heated. What do you propose, humans? Sam stepped forward with a datapad showing a diagram. We can adapt our fusion shielding technology to create replacement housings. The materials are simpler than yours but more flexible under stress. They'll hold until you reach your destination. Primitive materials cannot contain our energy levels, Krelvik insisted. Patricia stood her ground. Your advanced materials are failing. Sometimes the simplest solution works when complex ones fail. After much debate, the Admiral authorized a test on one junction. The human team worked for 20 hours straight, adapting Earth technology to alien systems. When they finished, Sam activated the modified junction. The power flow stabilized immediately. How is this possible? Krelvik demanded, checking the readings. Your technology focuses on perfect efficiency, Sam explained. Ours focuses on adaptability and redundancy. We expect things to break and build accordingly. Patricia couldn't help smiling at the shocked expressions on the alien faces. Humans have been getting by with less for our entire history, she said. We've gotten very good at making do. Admiral Vexnar studied the readings, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Begin adapting this solution to all ships immediately. For the first time since the humans arrived, the Admiral's voice contained something new. Respect. Maria Garcia pressed her hand against the transparent barrier separating the human living quarters from the Zarkith cultural exchange area. On the other side, 3 aliens mimicked her gesture, their scaled fingers splayed wide against the surface. The gesture means friendship in 17 Earth cultures, Maria explained, speaking into her translation device. What does it mean? To your people? The lead Zarkith, a cultural officer named Zeltara, replied, For us it shows trust. Our hands contain venom sacs that we once used for hunting. To show an open palm means we will not harm you. Maria smiled. As the mission's primary language specialist, she had made more progress in 2 weeks than she'd dared hope. The translation system now operated at nearly 90% accuracy, allowing deeper cultural exchange between the species. In a nearby section, Kyle Bennett sat with the Zarkith technician Torlak, sharing a meal. The humans had discovered that most Earth foods were safe for Zarkith consumption. though their preferences ran toward spicier dishes. "You must try this," Kyle said, pushing a small container toward the alien. "We call it ice cream." Torlak cautiously took the frozen dessert. The Zarkith had no equivalent to cold sweet foods, and the reaction was immediate. All four of Torlak's eyes widened simultaneously. "This temperature is pleasing," the alien said, taking another bite. "Why would you make food cold on purpose?" Kyle laughed. "For fun. Humans do many things just because we enjoy them." This concept seemed to fascinate the Zarkith. As the repairs continued across their fleet, more cultural exchanges took place. The aliens were particularly drawn to human music, art, and storytelling. In the main conference room, Captain Miller met with Admiral Vexnar to discuss the Zarkith's journey. "Our home system was the first target of the Vrax Dominion's expansion," the Admiral explained, displaying a holographic map of their flight path. "They seek resources, not conquest. Populations are irrelevant to them." Miller studied the map grimly. "How many of your people escaped?" "Approximately 2 million. Less than 1% of our total population." The Admiral's voice remained steady, but the skin around his eyes darkened, a sign of deep emotion, Maria had explained. "I'm sorry," Miller said simply. The Admiral tilted his head. "Your species is curious. You risk yourselves for strangers when you have no obligation to do so." Miller shrugged. "It's what we'd hope others would do for us." As the days passed, the cultural teams documented fascinating differences between human and Zarkith society. The aliens operated in strict hierarchies with decision-making concentrated at the top. They struggled to understand Earth's multiple competing nations and political systems. "How do you function without unified direction?" Zeltara asked during one exchange. Maria smiled. "Often chaotically, but that chaos drives innovation. Different approaches competing often lead to better solutions." The Zarkith found this deeply unsettling, yet couldn't deny the results. The human engineers' unorthodox solutions continued to succeed where their own approach had failed. One evening, Kyle found Torlak studying Earth history on a borrowed datapad. "Your species survived multiple near extinctions," the alien observed. "Climate disasters, nuclear weapons, pandemics. Yet you persisted." Kyle nodded. "Humans are stubborn that way." The Zarkith would call it inefficient to expend resources on seemingly hopeless scenarios, Torlak said. "Yet without that trait, our fleet would now be drifting powerless." As the major repair work neared completion, something unexpected happened. The Zarkith began incorporating human designs and approaches into their own systems. Their rigid adherence to tradition was giving way to a new adaptability. During a shared meal celebrating the successful repair of the 100th vessel, Admiral Vexnar made a surprising announcement. "We have decided to add human writing to our historical archives," the Admiral stated formally. "Your people will be recorded as Kivtan." Maria's translator hesitated over the word. "What does Kivtan mean?" she asked. The Admiral's scales rippled, in what they now recognized as their version of a smile. "Those who bring unexpected hope." The alarm blared through the USS Horizon, jolting Captain Miller from sleep. He rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Report," he ordered, taking his command chair. Navigation Officer Ben Lewis turned from his console, face grim. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple objects entering the solar system. Their energy signatures match the Zarkith descriptions of Vrax vessels." Miller felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. "How many?" "At least 15 capital ships, sir, possibly more behind them." The bridge fell silent. Even one Vrax warship would outclass Earth's entire defense fleet. 15 meant humanity had no chance in a direct confrontation. Miller opened a channel to Admiral Vexnar, who confirmed their worst fears. "It is the Vrax pursuit fleet," the alien leader stated. "They have tracked us across 17 systems. Their technology allows them to follow our quantum wake." Within hours, the United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. Captain Miller and Admiral Vexnar attended via holographic projection. General William Porter, Earth's military commander, was blunt. "We cannot match this enemy technologically. Engaging them would be suicide." UN Secretary Isabel Morales looked troubled. "Are we certain they pose a threat to Earth? Perhaps they only want the Zarkith." Admiral Vexenar's translated voice was solemn. "The Vraks consume all resources in their path. If they detect your civilization, they will not distinguish between us." The debate raged for hours. Earth's military leaders advocated neutrality, asking the Zarkith to leave the solar system immediately. Politicians were divided, some arguing for humanitarian protection, others for self-preservation. Admiral Nicole Patel, commander of Earth's Space Defense Forces, finally spoke. "Throughout human history, we've faced moments that defined us as a species. What we do today will echo for generations." She stood, addressing the council directly. "Yes, helping the Zarkith puts us at risk. But abandoning 2 million refugees to certain death betrays everything we claim to stand for." Secretary Morales nodded slowly. "If we turn away those seeking help, what kind of humanity would survive?" The vote was narrow, but decisive. Earth would stand with the Zarkith, despite the overwhelming odds. Back on the horizon, Captain Miller briefed his crew. "The Vraks will reach our position in approximately 5 days. Earth has committed to helping the Zarkith, but we need a strategy." Chief Engineer Patricia Daniels spoke up. "The Zarkith ships are still at less than 60% capacity. They can't outrun the Vraks, and they certainly can't fight." "Then we need to think differently," Miller replied. "We're not going to win a conventional battle." For the next 3 days, human and Zarkith leaders planned together. The aliens struggled with the human approach to warfare, which seemed chaotic and unpredictable compared to their structured battle doctrines. On the 4th day, a communication from Earth Security Council brought sobering news. The vote among world governments had shifted. Several nations had withdrawn support, fearing annihilation. Miller gathered his senior officers in the conference room. "Earth is divided," he explained quietly. "Some ships are being recalled. Each captain has been given discretion to stay or withdraw." His officers exchanged glances. "What are your orders, sir?" asked First Officer Rebecca Hayes. Miller looked at each of them. "I won't order anyone to stay. This isn't our fight by any military definition." Communications Officer Grace Harper spoke first. "With respect, Captain, it became our fight the moment we answered their distress call." One by one, the officers voiced their commitment to remain. As Miller dismissed them, Dr. Lisa Chen lingered behind. "Captain, I've been studying the Vraks. Biological data from the Zarkith records," she said. "They have several physiological vulnerabilities our weapons might exploit." Miller nodded. "Work with tactical. We need every advantage." That night, as the Vraks fleet drew closer, Miller stood at the viewport watching Earth engineers and Zarkith technicians working side by side on defensive preparations. One thought kept returning. Humanity's greatest strength had never been its technology, but its refusal to accept impossible odds. "Unconventional tactics will be our only advantage," Captain Eric Johnson told the assembled team of human and Zarkith engineers. They gathered around a holographic display of the solar system, with red markers indicating the approaching Vraks. Fleet. Chief Engineer Patricia Daniels pointed to Jupiter's orbit. "We've analyzed the Vraks' battle tactics from Zarkith records. They rely heavily on formation and standardized responses." The Zarkith military advisor, Commander Trelvak, nodded. "The Vraks operate as a collective. Individual ships rarely deviate from Central Command's instructions." Patricia smiled. "Then we'll use that against them." For 3 days, the combined human Zarkith force worked tirelessly on their desperate plan. Earth vessels towed asteroids into carefully calculated positions, while Zarkith engineers modified them with gravity modulators. Sam Wilson led a team adapting Earth's fusion technology to work with Zarkith systems. "The interface is crude," he explained to a skeptical Krelvik, "but it multiplies your ship's power output by 30%. "At the cost of efficiency," the alien engineer objected. "Efficiency won't matter if we're dead. Sam replied bluntly. In a secure laboratory aboard the USS Horizon, Dr. Ryan Carter worked with a team repurposing Earth's nuclear weapons. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity's most destructive creations might now be their salvation. These warheads were designed to destroy human cities, he explained to his Zarkith counterpart. We're modifying them to create localized spatial distortions instead. The alien tilted its head. Your species created weapons that could destroy your own world? Ryan nodded grimly. Not our proudest achievement, but we never actually used them in war, only as deterrents. Curious, the Zarkith scientist replied, to build something hoping never to use it. As the preparations continued, human and alien crews worked side by side, learning from each other. The humans brought creativity and adaptability, while the Zarkith contributed advanced technical knowledge. Captain Eric Johnson developed a battle strategy unlike anything in Earth's military history. We'll use Jupiter's gravity well to hide the majority of the Zarkith civilian ships, he explained to Admiral Vexnar. Meanwhile, we'll present a smaller target force here, near Saturn's rings. The Admiral studied the plan. This formation violates all standard defensive protocols. Exactly, Johnson replied. The Vraks won't expect it. On smaller vessels, young officer Daniel Hughes led a team preparing what they called solar mines, devices that would use the sun's electromagnetic output to disrupt Vrak sensors. Their ships rely on quantum field detection, Daniel explained to his team. If we can blind them even temporarily, it gives us a critical advantage. As the final hours before the Vrak's arrival ticked away, Admiral Vexnar requested a meeting with the human commanders. The alien leader had been observing Earth's preparations with increasing interest. Your species approaches warfare differently than any I have encountered, the Admiral stated. You disregard established tactical doctrine in favor of improvisation. Captain, Johnson nodded. Humans have always been outgunned throughout our history. We learned to use whatever advantages we could find. You expect your plan to succeed against a technologically superior force? Johnson smiled slightly. I expect it to surprise them. Sometimes that's enough to change the outcome. The Admiral was silent for a moment. The Zarkith have existed as a spacefaring civilization for over 8,000 of your years. In that time, we developed extensive battle doctrines based on superior technology and resources. And yet you're here, refugees from a lost war, Johnson said quietly. Rather than taking offense, the Admiral's scales shifted color in acknowledgement. Perhaps there is wisdom in your approach. The Vraks defeated us because they studied our tactics and developed specific counters. They will have no such advantage against human unpredictability. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Vexnar made an unprecedented request to place Zarkith ships under human tactical command for the coming battle. That evening, as the final preparations were completed, Patricia found Sam staring out a viewport at the distant sun. Scared? She asked. Terrified, he admitted, but also strangely hopeful. Look what we've accomplished in just days. Around them, the combined fleet moved into position, ready to make their stand against an enemy that had never known defeat. The Vrak's fleet emerged from the darkness beyond Pluto like a swarm of metallic insects. 15 massive warships, each bristling with weapon systems that could vaporize an Earth vessel with a single shot. Their hulls gleamed with an unsettling, purple-black sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Captain Miller watched the tactical display with outward calm. Inside, his heart raced. They've taken the bait, Navigation Officer Ben Lewis reported. The Vrak's fleet is approaching the decoy ships near Saturn's rings. Miller nodded. Begin Phase 1. Throughout the solar system, human and Zarkith crews initiated their carefully orchestrated plan. The modified asteroids orbiting Jupiter suddenly activated their gravity modulators, creating ripples in spacetime that confused Vrak's sensors. The lead Vrak's vessel paused, clearly detecting the anomaly. After a moment's hesitation, it split, its fleet, sending 5 ships to investigate while the others continued toward the decoy force. They're dividing their forces, Miller said. Just as we hoped. Signal the Jupiter defense team. Earth vessels hiding in Jupiter's complex gravitational field emerged, unleashing Dr. Carter's modified nuclear weapons. The detonations didn't damage the massive Vrax ships directly, but they created spatial distortions that disrupted the aliens' quantum communications. On the communications channel, a harsh mechanical voice demanded attention. The universal translator struggled to interpret the strange language. Unknown species. You interfere in matters beyond your comprehension. Surrender the Zarkith fugitives, or be eradicated. Diplomatic Officer Sofia Rodriguez had prepared for this moment. This is Earth Diplomatic Service. We offer peaceful resolution to this conflict. The Zarkith are under our protection as refugees seeking asylum. The response was immediate and chilling. Primitive species have no standing in galactic affairs. Final warning, withdraw or be destroyed. Rodriguez's voice remained steady. We choose to stand with the Zarkith. The Vrax flagship fired a warning shot that vaporized an unmanned satellite. The message was clear. Phase 2, Miller ordered. Throughout the solar system, the hidden elements of the human Zarkith defense activated. Daniel Hughes and his team launched their solar mines, which used the sun's radiation to create electromagnetic pulses precisely calibrated to Vrax sensor frequencies. Temporarily blinded, the Vrax ships broke formation, exactly as the defenders had hoped. The combined Earth-Zarkith forces emerged from hiding positions, attacking from multiple vectors. The USS Horizon led a squadron directly toward the Vrax command ship. They were hopelessly outgunned, but they had surprise on their side. They're recovering faster than we anticipated, Officer Lewis warned. Sensors indicate weapons charging on all enemy vessels. Miller gripped his chair. Stay on course. The Vrax fleet began reorganizing with alarming speed, adapting to the human tactics. Their superior technology was overwhelming the advantage of surprise. This isn't working, Patricia reported from engineering. They're countering our disruption efforts. Daniel Hughes, monitoring the battle from a small tactical vessel near Venus, noticed a pattern in the Vrax movements. They were systematically eliminating the sources of interference, but in doing so, they had created a blind spot. Captain, he called over the emergency channel, I think I see a way to disable their flagship. We're out of options, Lieutenant. What's your plan? Their command ship coordinates the others. If I can get close enough with our last modified warhead, I can disrupt their central processing node. Miller hesitated. That's a one-way trip, Hughes. Yes, sir. I know. After a moment's silence, Miller authorized the attempt. Daniel's small craft accelerated toward the massive Vrax flagship, evading defensive fire with maneuvers no alien algorithm could predict. At the last possible moment, Daniel launched the warhead and veered away. The resulting detonation didn't destroy the Vrax vessel, but it created precisely the disruption they needed. The alien fleet's coordinated movements suddenly became erratic. Their command structure is compromised, Lewis reported excitedly. They're operating independently without central coordination. The combined Earth-Zarkith forces pressed their advantage, concentrating fire on key systems. Unable to function as a coordinated unit, the Vrax fleet began to withdraw. They're retreating, Miller announced, disbelief in his voice. All vessels hold position. As the Vrax ships disappeared back into deep space, the bridge crew of the Horizon sat in stunned silence. Humanity had just accomplished what the Zarkith with their advanced technology could not. They had faced the galaxy's most feared predator and survived. The Grand Hall of the United Nations headquarters in New York had never hosted such an assembly. 6 months after the battle with the Vrax, representatives from 27 alien species gathered alongside Earth's leaders. The chamber had been modified to accommodate various atmospheric needs and gravitational preferences, but the atmosphere, of historic importance, needed no translation. Secretary General Morales addressed the gathering, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. Today marks a new chapter not just for Earth but for galactic civilization. What began as a simple act of compassion has opened doors we never imagined existed. Admiral Vexnar stood beside her, the Zarkith leader's scales gleaming under the chamber lights. The Vrax Dominion has terrorized the galaxy for centuries, the Admiral explained to the assembly. No single species had successfully resisted them until now. News of humanity's defense of our fleet has spread across established trade routes and communication networks. Captain Miller, now promoted to Admiral, watched from nearby, still struggling to comprehend how quickly Earth's position in the galaxy had changed. In just 6 months, 17 alien delegations had established embassies on Earth. Trade agreements were being negotiated. Cultural exchanges had begun. The repairs to our fleet have been completed, Vexnar continued, using hybrid technology that combines human ingenuity with our advanced systems. This new approach has yielded improvements even our best engineers would not have considered. Sam Wilson and Patricia Daniels sat among the honored guests. Their work integrating Earth's nuclear fusion technology with Zarkith quantum systems had revolutionized both species' understanding of physics. Already, the first human vessels equipped with modified alien propulsion were preparing for journeys beyond the solar system. After the formal proceedings, a smaller gathering took place in the UN garden. Daniel Hughes, still recovering from injuries sustained during the battle, accepted a medal from Admiral Vexnar. Your actions saved countless lives, both human and Zarkith, the alien leader said. Your name will be inscribed in our ancestral records. Daniel smiled modestly. I just saw a problem and tried to solve it. Anyone would have done the same. That is precisely what makes your species remarkable, replied the Admiral. You believe extraordinary actions are ordinary. Later that evening, Maria Garcia met with representatives from the Galactic Council, a loose federation of spacefaring civilizations that had maintained peace in much of the galaxy for millennia. Under normal circumstances, emerging species are not invited to join the Council until they have established colonies beyond their home system, explained the Volarian ambassador, a being that resembled a tall, slender humanoid with luminescent skin. Earth has been granted special consideration. Maria could hardly believe what she was hearing. How long would it normally take for humans to be considered? Based on your current development trajectory, approximately 300 years, the ambassador replied. Your defense against the Vraks has accelerated the timeline considerably. As the diplomatic discussions continued, everyday life on Earth was transforming. Alien technology was carefully integrated into human society, with special attention paid to preventing cultural disruption. Schools added courses on galactic history. Hospitals benefited from advanced medical techniques. Cities began constructing spaceports designed for interstellar visitors. In Central Park, a memorial was unveiled honoring both the humans and Zarkith, who had fought together. At its center stood a simple plaque with words in multiple languages. Sometimes the greatest courage is shown in extending a hand rather than raising a fist. The Zarkith fleet prepared to depart Earth orbit 1 year after their arrival. Their destination was a habitable world offered by the Galactic Council, where they could establish a new homeworld. But many chose to remain on Earth as ambassadors and teachers. As Admiral Miller watched the massive vessels rise gracefully into the night sky, Dr. Chen joined him on the observation platform. Did you ever imagine this outcome when we first detected their distress signal? She asked. Miller shook his head. Not in a million years. We were just trying to help people in trouble. And that simple choice changed everything, she replied. Above them, the stars no longer represented unreachable points of light, but destinations and possibilities. Humanity had taken its first steps into a much larger universe, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through an act of compassion that had shocked the galaxy. In the vastness of space, it turned out, kindness was the most unexpected power of all.